help us by scooching to the middle a little bit. We have a full house today, so if y'all can help with any gaps, scooch to the middle and I'll give it a little more room on the outside. Thank you.
the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Let God speak light into the darkest parts of your life today. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will fill me. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will fill me. Oh, come fill us, God. As the Spirit was moved over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Fire and wind, come and do it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Fire and wind, come and do it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest
some had to be thinking they didn't have any weapons, they didn't have anything. They just were marching around with a pot and something to hit the pot with, and they had to be thinking this isn't going to work. And so I'm sure doubt crept into their mind, and I'm sure on the sixth trip around, some of them were just like, look, this ain't going to work. They're about to find out we're here and come after us. Let's get out of here. But they were so close to victory. They were one more march around and they were done. And some of y'all right now, you're so close to victory. You're so close. You're on the sixth march around. Don't give up. Seven's on the way. Heaven is coming. The victory is coming. And I know what you're seeing is not positive. Right? The bills are piling up and the relationship feels like it's getting worse and the kids are actually not, I mean, it's Mother's Day and they do not care today. I mean, they absolutely do not care. They didn't wake you up. They brought you burnt breakfast in bed. And so things are just not the way you thought Mother's Day was going to look different than it did. And it looks like the defeat is here. It may look like you're surrounded. It may look like the enemy has the upper hand. But just like God did in the Old Testament, let's ask him to open up our eyes so we can see that whatever's surrounding us, he has it surrounded. So it may look like we're surrounded. So let's sing that one more time. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. Let's sing that one more time.
It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how.
Come on, give him some praise. Come on, give him some praise in the house. Man, I know the enemy looks like he's got you, but listen, just keep fighting, just keep marching, just keep being obedient, just keep doing the next right thing, and you're going to see some breakthrough in your life. I love these songs. Some of you, I know I've heard people say, well, they're just so repetitive. If you think repetitive songs annoy you, you ain't going to like heaven very much. All they say is, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. And so I think that when you repeat words like that, it just gets down into your spirit. May you start walking in that, and power and love flows out of you. So we're excited about what God's already doing this morning. Worship was awesome. The band killed it this morning. We want to say, yeah, come on, give them a hand. We have a whole nother team waiting for you outside after the service for iced coffees are coming your way here very shortly. And we also have a booth outside. Just I want to remind you before I forget, take some pictures, sign it. It's like a big Mother's Day card. Hopefully you got a Mother's Day card this morning. We love you as mothers. Can we just give it up for the moms this morning? Yeah. And so why don't you go find 3 people, give them a high five and say, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Go tell them.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Mother's Day. My name is Jeremy, and I have the honor to serve with our worship team. I'm so glad that you're here this morning. Every week during both of our services, we offer a place for your kids that is safe, clean, and fun. These are age-appropriate environments where the Bible is taught in a creative and relevant way. We're so passionate about kids learning about Jesus in a way they can understand that we encourage parents not to bring them into the service designed for adults and students. This also helps keep a distraction-free environment in the worship center and hub so that you and the people around you can encounter Jesus. We believe that we were all uniquely created by God on purpose and for a purpose. A great way to step into your purpose and discover the gifts and talents God has given you is through Growth Track. The Growth Track consists of 4 steps to help you learn more about our church, take next steps in your relationship with God, and reach your full potential. These steps take place the first 4 Sundays of every month during the 11 o'clock service. Students Ignite Summer Experience is coming up soon, and I'm so excited. This is for students leaving 6th through 12th grade. This is going to be an incredible week full of fun. We have special guest speaker Big Al coming to bring the word for us, so don't miss it. You can sign up on the WRC app or at WRCchurch.com. Now let's get ready for the message.
Sorry, I got a little setup here. It's not going to be awkward or anything. Right? All right. Well, today I'm going to preach the marble message. And so if you've been here for a few years, you've heard this message. I don't think I did it last year. But I got a little different twist on it this year. I'm going to tell you something that we don't really realize, honestly, until we get older, is just how fast time flies by. And so you should have gotten one of these marbles on your way in. If you don't have one, raise your hand. We'll bring one to you right now. Everybody have a marble? One over here, up here. Hey, y'all did a good job. Almost everybody got one. So I'm going to explain these marbles to you. Before I do, I just want to remind you that here at WRC, we're a church of next steps, so we want to help you take those next steps. Growth Track is happening during the second service, and that's going to be second step, and so it's always a fun one to do. So call Grandma. I know it's Mother's Day, but just say, hey, look, I'm taking my next steps with Jesus. I'm going to miss lunch today. Well, I'll be late for lunch, all right? So you'll get there about 12:15. But take that next step of Growth Track. Maybe it's water baptism. Maybe it's life groups. Our groups, most of them are in a break right now. We'll launch again in June. And so we want you to take that next step because for several reasons. One is you need to take a next step. And secondly, you need to help others take next steps. So that's what discipleship's all about, is about knowing and doing the things that God calls you to do. So it's very, very important that you take those next steps. And one of the primary reason is we don't have a lot of time left. I think Jesus is coming back soon with all the craziness and chaos that's happening. We don't have a lot of time left. And so I want to share a message with you this morning. Hopefully that'll speak to you, that will understand that time is so, so fragile. And I'm going to tell you, people told me when I was younger, so we have teenagers here. I know you're just like, I got all the time in the world. I did some math today, and I realized I graduated high school 27 years ago. That's not funny. 27 years. Yeah, I blinked, and it's been 27 years. I mean, it goes by so fast. And I remember being in high school, graduating, and thinking 20 years was never going to get here. And I just blinked, and it happened. And people told me all along the way, well, enjoy the time, enjoy your kids. And I was just like, I can't enjoy them. They're getting on my nerves. How can you enjoy something that's getting on your nerves so much all the time? Not really. I love my kids most of the time. But you struggle with that. It's just like I would wake up. I told you, sometimes I wake up in the morning and my goal was to get back to my bed as fast as possible. And so I know what it feels like. It just feels like it's never going to end. But our time is so important, and time is it's even more valuable than money because you can't get time back. You can make more money. You can make more friends. You can find another job, but you cannot make more time. Like when you lose time, that time is gone. That time is over. You'll never get it back. There'll never be another May 8th, 2022. This is it. That's the only one that we have. And so it's very important that we understand that. In fact, it's important about time that I want to show you this visual aid this morning. My marbles here. So every marble that we have in these containers represents 1 week that you have with your kids. So if you don't have any kids, just imagine that every one of these represents a week that you have in your life. But specifically this morning on Mother's Day, we're going to talk about how it affects us as parents as well as us as individuals. But every one of these containers has an amount of marbles, and they're the exact amount. And so what it is you have 52 weeks in a year, so every one of these marbles represents a week. So for this big one right here, this from the time your baby is born to the time they turn 18, there's 936 weeks that you have with that kid. That's it, 936. Now, they may stay in your house for another 10 years. Some of y'all just like, yeah, that happened to me. My younger brother decided he was just going to make a suite on the end of Mom and Dad's house and just add him a bathroom there and just live there for the rest of his life. And he almost did. He was in his mid-20s or late 20s or 27 when he moved out. Yeah. I was gone at 19. Like I rolled out 18 years old. But so if you have 18 years, that's 936 marbles. There's 676 marbles in this. This is when they turn 5. They start kindergarten and all the little cute things that they do. And then we have 260 in here, and that's when they turn 13. So when they turn 13, they're starting to cop a little attitude. They're starting to grow a little bit, so they think they're stronger than they really are, bigger than they really are. And then you have 104 marbles in here, and that's when they turn 16. And so these are huge milestones. So birth, 5 years old, 13 years old, and then when they turn 16, and then when they turn 18, if you take a marble out every single week of their life, when you get to 18, it's empty, it's gone. And so I have 3 kids, and so my 2 oldest daughters, or our oldest daughters, I didn't do it by myself, right, Amy? Yeah. So she was a part of that too. But anyway, so they're married, and Emily lives in Oklahoma, and Megan's married with a beautiful young grandbaby that I have that she's rotting already. And then my son's last day of high school was Friday. 2 days ago was his last day of high school. And so our marbles are going by very, very quickly. He's not 18 yet, but I'm still losing those marbles. And so it's very important that we understand this, and we understand the value of time. In fact, let me just say this about time. When you see how much time you have left, you will do more with the time you have now. So when you understand that time is going by super fast, and as a young parent, I'm just looking at my kids and thinking, it can't get here fast enough. I can't wait for them to crawl. Then they start crawling. I can't wait for them to walk. They start walking. I can't wait for them to dress themselves. They start dressing themselves. I can't wait for them to take their own baths. I can remember vividly the moment I didn't have to pack the kitchen sink to go to Walmart. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have to bring the car seat and all that stuff. And you just kind of blink, and maybe you don't have kids. Maybe this is not your world, but you have blinked, and you've been married for 20 or 30 years. And it just goes by so fast most of the time. Some of y'all just like, it feels like 100 years. And some of y'all feel like y'all have a death sentence. But we can talk about that later. But it just flies by. But when we see how much time we have left, we'll do more with the time than we have now. And so it's very, very important. The Bible talks about time a lot. In fact, he tells us this in the book of Psalms, chapter 39, verse 4. We're going to come back to this verse at the end of the message. He says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. He says, remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. Now, this word for numbered is kind of interesting. It actually has the idea to measure a garment. So it has the idea that you go in to a tailor, and the tailor takes measurements, and he'll take the suit or whatever, and he'll fit it just for you. And so the idea for this word here for numbered is to tailor. And so what he's trying to tell us is we need to tailor our time. We need to take time. We need to take a clock, take the time in our life and look at what's going on and start measuring it and start figuring out just how much we have left. I'm going to tell you, for us parents, we look at a measure like this and we go, man, I got plenty of time left with my kids. I got plenty of time to go on that trip. I got plenty of time. We start measuring and looking at it. It's like, I got plenty of time. But when we really pull the measuring tape out and look at it, we realize we don't have a whole lot of time left. And it just goes by faster and faster. And if you have kids today, once they hit middle school, like 8th, 9th grade, I'm going to tell you, 7th, 8th grade, you blink and it's over with. And it goes by faster. And so if we'll tailor our time, we'll take some measurements and go, you know what, I really don't have a lot of time left. I need to make sure I'm making the most of this time. We need to measure that time. In fact, let me just say it like this. Tailored time is measured time, and measured time is treasured time. Tailor time is measured time. We measure the time. We actually look and go, you know what, I'm not want to get through the day today. I want to look at where I'm at, where my kids are going to be, and where I'm going to be, and go, I want to make the most of every single moment. And so tailor time is measured time, and measured time is treasured time. And time, I want to give you 3 things about time this morning. It's very important that we grasp these 3 things, because I know most of us know these things about time, but I think it's good to be reminded. And so we need to tailor our time, measure our time for these 3 reasons. I'm going to tell you, time is just not something you can trust. I mean, you just can't trust time. If you know of anybody who's got into an accident or passed away young, if you go to a grave site, you'll see little small, like little 2-3-year-olds are buried in the graveyard. I know this is so exciting, and I'm really building y'all up for Mother's Day today, talking about babies being in graveyards. But their time was numbered. Their days were numbered. And if we're not careful, we will miss those moments because we're so anxious about getting to the next thing. And so let me give you 3 things about time. Here's the first one this morning. Time is volatile. It's volatile. Time is volatile. Time is always changing. In fact, we have a saying that says, these times, they are changing. That's old school for some of y'all. These times, they are changing. I'm going to just tell you right now, time is flying by, and it is changing like crazy. Technology is just making it we just blink and everything changes. I used to work for a computer company, and so this was back in 2000, 99, 2000, and I would have to travel to Lafayette and Youngsville, and I think I went as far as like Beaumont down to the coast and up to, say, Kinder or DeRitter. And so I had maps, not Google Maps, maps. Amy wanted to throw mine out there. No, I said, no, I ain't throwing the maps away. These things have got me out of a bind, because I would call people and say, so do I turn east or west off of your road? Yeah, you just go past the mulberry bush and hang a left. But what if I'm coming from the other way? They don't know which way I'm coming from. But if I had the technology today that I had back then, it would have been way simpler. Look, I ended up in some places that I thought I wasn't going to make it out of. If I'd have known, I wouldn't even gone back there. But I would have the map, and you talk about dangerous. You think texting and driving is dangerous. Try flipping out a 7-fold map and lay it in front of you while you're trying to drive. Technology is making things safer to some degree. But it's always changing. In fact, there's a picture that was taken. The Pope showed up to town, and there was a picture that was taken of the Pope back in 2005. And they have another picture of him showing up in 2012. Look at the difference. I want you to see this. 2013. Look at the difference. This is 2005. This is just people, no cell phones, no cameras, nothing. This is 2013, and every single person has a camera on them. They have a phone that they're recording with. That was 8 years difference. It went from nobody to having one to everybody having one. It's changing constantly. The times are always changing. In fact, Psalms 39:5 says this. He says, you have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is just but a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. What he's saying is it's a transition. It's just transitional. In fact, I would just tell you this morning, if we really get a big picture, as a pastor here, I'm really just interim. And if you don't know what that means, if you've been in the church, well, it means temporary. All right, that's a churchy word. I don't hear interim used very much unless it's in the church. But now, is he leaving somewhere? No, not next week. But I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to be here in 50 years. I don't think. Lord, please don't let me be here in 50 years. Hopefully he'll come back by then. But if you look at things that way, if you look at things with the scope, with the macro that God does, everything that we do is interim. You're the interim boss at your job. Well, you ain't going nowhere tomorrow. No, but the next 20, 30 years, you're not going to be there anymore. But he says, help me understand that my life is just a breath. And I'm going to tell you, time, as I get older, I understand time a little bit more. I now have a grandbaby, and I know now why grandbabies want their grandparents to read them books and not their parents. Because parents get pages. I'm guilty. Hey, my kids got to where they knew what the book said because Grandma and Grandpa, Mimi and Poppy and Granny and Grandpa, Papa read it to them. And it was just like they knew that I was skipping some pages. And you just, you kind of slip it in there. You kind of grab 3 pages at one time and flip it because it's 9 o'clock and you're tired. You've been working all day. But grandparents don't skip pages. And now that I'm a grandparent, I read that book 7 times. I don't care. Every page. I'll make words up. I don't care. But as I've gotten older, I understand that it's just why grandbabies are so grand, is because you get to really enjoy them in a time where you got a little bit of McDonald's money. Come on. My parents didn't have McDonald's money until we had babies, and when I had babies, all of a sudden they can go to McDonald's. Now I got McDonald's money. Now she ain't big enough to get McDonald's yet, but one day we're going to go to McDonald's together because we're going to be healthy grandparents. But I'm understanding now about time. Even as a parent, as a pastor, I mean, can y'all believe this fall it'll be 10 years we've been doing this? 10 years. Somebody's just like, yeah, that's a little too long. No. It's been amazing. I love it. I can't wait for the next 10 years to see what happens. But it's just, you blink and it just, but here's what I want you to know this morning. Time constantly shows us how volatile it is. It constantly shows us its volatility. It constantly shows us how it's changing. Look, the stuff that's going on in the Supreme Court right now. I mean, listen, overnight people went crazy with Roe v. Wade. They went nuts. It happened overnight. We need to pray for that situation, by the way. Man, you talk about the beginning, I think, of revival happening is when you start looking at the sanctity of life for what it really is. It's important. Here's what Psalms 90:12 says. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, I don't really know what a heart of wisdom is, but it sounds like something I want. But he says, teach us to number our days. Now, this word for number is pretty important. Actually, this is what it really means. It really means to assign to something. To number something, this is a different word for number than the other one we looked at. This one means to assign to something. It has the idea that you're going to attach what you're doing to a purpose. You're gonna assign if you're in a race, it's like assigning that person a number for the race. I don't know what that feels like. I've never been in one before, but that's what it looks like. It's like assigning something to something. So we need to assign our days to something that makes a difference. In fact, David is speaking in one of the Psalms, and actually he's talking about how to make the most of your life. And here's what he says. I love this passage. David writes Psalms 34, and he says this, come, my children, listen to me, and I will teach you to fear the Lord. I'm going to tell you right now, we need to, as parents, teach our kids to fear the Lord. Doesn't mean you run away scared. No, it just means he's reverent. It means church matters. It means the word matters. It means you should be a part of a church, be a part of a life group. It absolutely matters. And he says this, I love this question. Does anyone want to live a life that is long and prosperous? Now, that's a rhetorical question. I mean, I don't know if anybody says no to this question. Everybody, in fact, the whole world, for probably since its existence, trying to find a way to stay alive longer. You look at some of these people on TV, they shouldn't have had that surgery. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to look like they're going to live longer. I don't want to speak death over anybody, but some of them, they don't need to live longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just need to, there's going to be a lot. When the rapture happens, there's going to be a lot of body parts left. All right? There's just going to be a lot of fake stuff laying around when the rapture happens. But we're trying to live longer. We're trying to look like things are working. Your lips aren't supposed to look like that. Your forehead's supposed to have wrinkles in it. People be looking like surprised all the time. But we're trying to show the world, we're trying to show the people that we're really younger than we really are. And growing old is earned. He said, does anybody want to live a long and prosperous? I'm telling you, people have been looking for the fountain of youth forever. Who wants to live a long and prosperous life? Now that answer is everybody. Then he tells us how to do it. I love this. David says, if you want this, if you want a long and prosperous life, here's how you do it. Watch this. If that's what you want, then or you could put a therefore there. If you see a therefore, find out what it's there for. Therefore, or then, keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies. So bite your tongue, watch your tongue, be careful what you say. We talk a lot here about speaking life and death. Don't minimize your husband or your wife. I'm telling you, wives, the worst thing you can do is to minimize your husband. I'm just telling you right now, we have an ego that's, whether good or bad, this is the way God made. We're fragile. We're more fragile than we look like we are. And husbands, show your wives that you care about them. Show your wives that you love them. And so we need to make sure that our words are speaking life and not death. He says, keep your tongue from speaking evil and make sure you're not telling any lies. And he says this, turn away from evil and do good and search for peace and work to maintain it. That's a pretty good message right there, just to have a long and prosperous life. Watch what you say and search for peace and maintain it. Some of y'all ain't had peace in years, maybe decades, because you won't keep your mouth shut. That's hard sometimes. It's hard when you know that your husband is wrong and you won't say anything. It's hard to know that your wife is wrong and I say, I told you so. I love I told you so. It's one of my favorite things to say. I don't ever get to say it. Because you got to be right to say that. That goes with the territory. But you ain't had peace in your house. I mean, your kids are running rampant because, you're not disciplining them. Church doesn't matter. You're not teaching them to fear the Lord. You're speaking death over their teachers and everybody else, so that's what they start doing. You want to know when we have a generation of people who don't respect authorities because we have parents who let the kids not respect authority. It starts with us. It starts with us. And so we don't have peace in the home, and then they take that chaos to their school or to their job. We wonder what in the world happened. Well, they learned it from you. There's videos of little kids, 2- and 3-year-olds cussing, and the parents just laughing like crazy. That's not funny. Watch what you say around your kids because they're going to repeat it. In fact, they will add to it. Be careful. So if we're going to use our time, we're going to use our time for the right things. And we have to measure this time out, look at our time and say, man, I want to make sure that I'm measuring this thing out. And I look ahead of my life and say, look, I don't know where I'm going to be for the next 5 years, but I'm going to get plugged in and do something that matters. We have a process here at WRC, and here's what it looks like. It's called worship, connect, serve. And that process is for everybody. Here's the cool part. Worship God starts right here on Sunday mornings, and so you made it to step one. Congratulations. Here's the next part of our process. That's connect, and that's connect to people, which is life group, connect to purpose, which is growth track, and then serve others. So here's our goal for you right here. It's for you to do something with your life that impacts other people. Listen, our goal is not to have our numbers high and growth track say that we did something. Our goal is for you to go serve somebody because that's what you were created to do. We need to make sure we measure our time out. We take this measure tape and go, you know what? I don't have a whole lot of time left. I don't have a lot of time left with my kids. I'll make sure that they know that God matters. I don't have a whole lot of time left with this job. I'll make sure that those people know there that I love them. Some of y'all may not have a whole lot of time left here at this church. Maybe God's calling you to something different. Make the most of the time that you have. Worship, connect, serve. And so we want to serve other people. We want to make sure that we use our time because time is volatile. I want you to know that time is changing and it's shifting. If you don't have a measuring tape, so this is what I'm doing, you ain't going to do it. It's volatile. Here's the second thing about time, and that is time is valuable. Time is valuable. That's why we need to tailor our time. We need to measure our time and tailor it and say, this matters. What I'm doing matters. And this series is the Jesus method, and Jesus taught us all kind of methods on how to show grace and truth. And we're going to be talking through that for the next couple of weeks about how to walk in grace and truth. Because I'm going to tell you right now, in this day and age, we have churches that are full of truth that nobody's going to. We got churches full of grace that ain't getting no life change. I want to be a church full of grace and truth. Come as you are, but don't stay like you came. Come like you are, but don't stay that way. You have a purpose that God has you that's walking in grace and truth. And so Jesus is walking along with his disciples. As Jesus was walking along with his disciples, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. So here's a man who had never been able to see anything. He was blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins, or was it because of the sins of his parents? So that's an interesting question that I love that the disciples gave Jesus a multiple choice question. Isn't that interesting? It's got to be one of these two. Jesus was like, hang on, you think you got me wrapped up in, no, you don't have me in a box. This is what he tells them. I love his response. It was not because of his sins of his parents or his sins, Jesus answered. This happened so that the power of God could be seen in him. And the next verse of scripture is really what I want to just spend just a moment on this morning, because it's so telling of Jesus' outlook on time and his outlook on this world when he came to this world for just a short period of time. But he said it wasn't because of his parents or his himself or his parents. It was so that the power of God could be seen in him. Let me just tell you, God wants his power to be shown through you too. And I don't know what you're walking through, what you're going through, but he wants his power to be revealed in and through you. So you just have to open up. We prayed this morning. It's interesting that it's crazy how prayer always ties into, one of the guys will have a word in prayer, and it just ties into what we're talking about. And the word was pride this morning. And some of us this morning, we have so much pride, we don't understand that God wants to use us to reach other people. And so here's what Jesus said. So he says, let God's power seen in him. Then he says this: we must quickly carry out the task, watch this, assigned us by the one who sent us. Now, I told you that word numbered earlier meant to assign to. So you need to be assigned to something. You need an assignment. You need to say, look, I know that God wants me to do something tomorrow when I go to Walmart. I know God wants, there's a person, some of y'all already think about that person at work right now. You know that God's been wanting you to say something to him, pray for him, ask him how their day is. But he says we must quickly carry out the tasks that have been assigned to us, and then he tells us why. Verse 4, he tells us why this is true. The night is coming, and then nobody can work. The night's coming, and nobody's going to be able to work. You have a limited amount of time here on this earth. Maybe it's 70 years, maybe it's 80, maybe it's 90. Amy's grandparents are in their 90s. Her grandmother died in her 90s. So maybe you're going to live through your 90s. Maybe you're going to make it to 100. I don't know. But so this night is coming. There's going to be a day. Let me just ask you this way. Where are you going to be in 100 years? You ain't going to be here. You ain't going to be here. So there's going to be time that's coming that we can't do any work because night's on the way. And then he says this: but while I'm here, I am the light of the world. While I'm here. Can that just be our motto for this next week? While I'm here. Man, while I'm in Walmart, let me just get some Jesus on somebody. While I'm here, let me just show somebody some love today. While I'm here, why don't I just be a little bit more happy at the red light that person wouldn't go at when it turned green. While I'm here, why don't I just show agape love by buying somebody a meal? While I'm here, why don't I high-five somebody that don't expect it in Walmart? Listen, you high-five somebody at Walmart, you might get arrested. Tell them Jesus sent you. But you know what Jesus was doing? He tailored his time. Jesus said he knew. He measured his time out. He says, while I'm here, I'm measuring. I have my tape out, and I'm tailoring my time. He knew that his time was short. And I'm going to tell you today, your time is short. Now, I don't mean that you're going to be going tomorrow. He may come back tomorrow, but you're going to blink, and you're going to be retired. You're going to blink, and you're going to be in your 80s and then your 90s. I know this is so uplifting and amazing for a Happy Mother's Day message. But we have to understand time a little bit different. In fact, if we're going to tailor our time, we need to tailor our time to make a difference. Tailor your time. Like cut out some time to show somebody some love. And it can be while you're walking by somebody. Go through Growth Track. That's a great way to do it. We have a system here to help you manage your time better on Sunday mornings. Come help us serve. We have teams that show up here 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9. We have huddles all over this place. It's awesome. I bounce around from one to another. It's awesome to see God's people serving. I'm just going to tell you, the most miserable Christians, I think, in the world are those who they claim the name, but they are not in his will. They are not serving other people. We're made to serve. You were designed to serve other people. Here's the third thing about time I want to get to real quick, and that is this. Time is vanishing. It's vanishing. It's going away very quickly. It's valuable and it's volatile, but it's because it's vanishing. It's vanishing. In fact, the Bible tells us this about time. James 4:14. He says, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while, and then it vanishes. See, these jars that we have up here this morning that I want you to just get a good visual on is what it looks like when your time starts slipping away, especially with your kids. And again, if you don't have kids, just imagine you have a jar with your marbles in it. But if you have a 16-year-old, this is the kind of marbles that you have left right here. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And every one of these matters. That's why we gave you a marble when you came in. I want you to put that in your car or put it in your pocket if you want to. Put it somewhere where it's going to remind you to tailor your time this week, this day, this month, especially with your kids. At the house yesterday, I didn't get approval for this, so I have to pay Kai $5, but that's okay. We have a rule that if I don't get approval, I have to pay him $5. So you got cash, Amy, or we'll Venmo you. We'll Venmo you. So I walked in his room, and he was like, hey, you want to go play some basketball? And I was like, yeah, man, give me a controller. He was like, no, outside. Outside? The sun's up. You know that, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this ain't a body for outside basketball. You know what I mean? I do not have an outside basketball body. So we went out there and started. I went and changed. I got my hoop shoes on, and, I looked the part. I didn't put the headband on, but I wanted to. And so we're in the driveway, and we start playing. And he won. We played to 11, and then we played to 7, and then we played to 5, then we played to 3, then we played to 1. And he won the first 3. Actually, he won them all. Okay, I was just going to let that hang. But at the end, he said, look, we'll go to 1. This is what he did. He said, we'll go to 1, and you can have the ball first. He beat me. And I was trying. He even said something like, are you going to try? And I'm like, I am. This is me trying. Like, I was down. I was playing. I was digging him up. I don't know, man. But I had that moment of, I don't really want to go play basketball. I want to. My mind was like, let's go get it. My body was like, are you crazy? My body was like, what is happening right now? I had this liquid coming out of my skin. I was just like, I was sweating. I sweated more yesterday doing that just for a few minutes. But I realized what happened. See, my shot was off because the day before what had happened was I got stung by a wasp. Yeah, so it messed up my shot, and I said, you know what, I'll just give you these. We'll just have a rematch. But I'm just going to tell you, it wasn't just because I was preaching this message this morning, but I had that moment of, man, this is not going to be fun. My body's going to be hurting tomorrow. Then I thought about marbles. I ain't got a whole lot left. I'm losing them very quickly. And so are you. And you may have just had a newborn baby. I have a grandbaby that'll be 8 months old next week. You just blink and it goes by so fast. Tailor your time. Tailor your time. Let's go back to that verse that we opened with this morning. That is this, Psalms 39:4. Remember, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered. I need to assign them to something. It matters that I'm going to tailor them. I'm going to do something about it. Here's a different version. I love the Amplified version. It says this: Lord, make me to know my end and to appreciate the measure of my days. I want to appreciate. I look back now and I appreciate the things that happened. I want to look back and appreciate. I want to look ahead and appreciate. In 2021, we had the big freeze. Was that in 21? Yeah, that was last year, the big freeze. And we had a busted pipe that was underneath some bushes that go into our house. And the bushes don't go in our house, but the water does. The water line does. And so we had to rip 2 bushes out, which we don't want to take them out for a long time. Just didn't. We wanted them to be out, but I didn't want to take them out, okay? Wanted to be gone, but I didn't want to do it. But we had to rip them out for this water leak, and so we just said, you know what, this is God's telling us to rip them out. So we ripped all of them out. But in that process, we were finding, because those bushes have been there. We've been in this house for 17 years, and those bushes have been there the whole time. Y'all, you know what kind of stuff we found in those bushes? We found baseballs and tennis balls and golf balls and bouncy balls. There was an eraser, like we found it up high somewhere. And I just thought, I had the thought of, when did this land here and what were we doing when it got here? What day, what marble was that? And then I found these 3. This was a little bit emotional, but I found these little, it's an entire silverware set, a fork, spoon, and a knife for some baby dolls that my daughters had. And y'all, I blinked. And my babies are having babies. I blinked. That's all I did. Because here's what I want you to see this morning. We're going to wake up one day, and again, if you don't have kids, this could be your life. But you're going to have days that go, they just kind of trickle out like this. You know, they just kind of, it's good. But you're going to look up one day, and they're just going to start pouring out, and you're just going to blink, and then they turn 7, and then they go to middle school when they get to about 10 or 11 or 12, however they are. They get into middle school, and then that starts getting a little bit faster. Then they go a little bit faster. Then they get into high school, and they have proms and homecomings and their first date and all those things. And you blink, and you look up, and all of a sudden, you drop 3 marbles. There you go, Andy. I told you. One time I did this, and I poured them on the floor. Some of y'all were here for that. And we have some safety people here that weren't too happy with me. And then we called families up front for baby dedication, so it was not thought through very well. It was the spirit, you know. But y'all, look, if you have kids, this is coming. And let me tell you, there's a blessing in this, but there's also a little bit of a curse. Amy asked me the other day, because, you know, like I said, he graduates in a couple of weeks, and she said, what are we going to do when Kai moves out? I said, whatever we want. But it has been crossing our mind, like we have one left, and he's about to leave the nest potentially, and it's like, what is next? Because I woke up one day, and my youngest baby is graduating. And I can remember very vividly when they had turned 5, and then when they had turned 13, and when they turned 16, started driving. That was a great time in life. But we blink, y'all, and the marbles are gone. And I want to challenge you, when you take this home and you put it in your pocket, I want you to remember your marble. Make the most of your marble this week. Make the most with your grandkids or your kids or your relatives. I'm going to tell you, some of y'all have relatives that live far away. You see them twice a year. If they live for 10 more years, you're only going to see them 20 more times. Make your marbles count. In fact, let me say it that way this morning. You're losing your marbles, make them count. You're losing them. You're losing your marbles. You got to make them count. You're going to wake up one day and it's going to be empty. And you're going to have wished that you had made more time with your kids or with your mom or dad or with even your spouse. I know there's some days coming where, I'm not going to say any names, but their last name rhymes with Hamas. But anyway, but you know, you got your own room that you watch TV in. I love that, by the way. That sounds like amazing time for me. I love Lifetime, don't get me wrong. But there are days, make the most. Have a date night. Go somewhere, do something different. Make the most of your time, because I'm going to tell you right now, you are losing your marbles, and if you don't tailor your time, you're going to look up one day, and you're going to be cleaning out a flower bed, and you're going to find some toys for some baby dolls when your kids were 5 and 6 years old. And you're going to be like me and say, where did the time go? Make them matter. Make them count. You're losing your marbles. Make every single one of them count. You have this week with your kids, this week with your spouse, this week with your family. What are you going to do different this week? Time is but a mist. Our life is but a mist. It's here and then it's gone. It's vanishing. It's valuable and it's volatile. Are you going to make yours count? Make it matter. Make every one of them count for something. And when you do, you can stand before the Lord one day. He can say, well done. You made the most with the most valuable thing that you have, and that is time. Jesus told us to make sure that we do these things because night is coming. But while I'm here, I want you to even say that this week to yourself in your car, while I'm here, while I'm in the coffee shop, while I'm at Walmart, while I'm getting gas, while I'm at work, while I'm here, I'm going to be the light of the world because you have Jesus in you. Let's make our marbles count and let's go impact the world. Let's pray together. Father, I thank you today that you have given us the ability to see time in a new way, Father. I think that you've given us the ability to see that we can make our marbles count. God, you challenges us with your word constantly through the Old Testament and through the New Testament that we don't have a lot of time. Time is of the essence. So I pray this morning in this place right now that you would speak to our hearts. God, that we would truly take advantage of every single marble that we have. God, with our kids, with our spouse, with our grandkids. And God, that we would truly make them count. I pray that we would all leave here differently today, that we would see our calendars differently. God, we would see our time with our families differently. Help us to make them count. Every time we see that marble, remind us that while we are here, we're going to make a difference. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Stay with me this morning. I'm asking our prayer team to come down front. We would love to pray with you. Maybe you're here today and say, I have not made my marbles count. I have not made a difference in my family, and I want to start today. Maybe you're here today and say, look, I've been doing that. I've been taking those steps, but I want to do more. We have a prayer team down front. We would absolutely love to pray with you. Take advantage of this. It's a big deal. You have somebody lay hands on you and pray for you this morning. The altars are open. Whatever you feel led to do, you do that this morning. We would love to pray with you. Outside in the breezeway, we have a photo booth. Take a photo booth and a photo with your family and sign it. It's like a big Mother's Day card. And then get an iced coffee on your way out today. You guys have an amazing Mother's Day. We'll see y'all right back next Sunday, 9:30 and 11 o'clock.